I'm Natalie Carpenter, and I was born in 1983. And so I was in high school between 1998 and then I graduated in 2001. So I very vividly remember the 2000s. They were a very, very big part of my so far roughly short life. Okay, so the biggest crisis, I graduated in 2001. It's 9/11. I had friends who were going to college in New York. I remember waking up that day and I hadn't started college yet. It was right before my freshman year of college, and I hadn't started college yet, and I was sleeping in over the summer, and my grandmother called me, and it was like, why is my grandmother calling me? This is so annoying. And then she said, have you turned on the news? And I said, no. And she's like, you need to turn on the news. And I turned on the news just in time to see the second plane hit the second tower. I turned on the television as the second plane hit the second tower. And it was just like, it was really scary, because I knew at that moment that everything was going to change. And it felt really like we weren't safe anymore. It felt really personal, and we were not safe anymore. I think that here in the States we get a false sense of security because, there's like two oceans in between us, between whatever else is happening in the rest of the world. So I think that was really jarring. And then also to just worry about my friends who were in New York at the time. And I actually saw Ground Zero a couple months later when I went to go visit a friend of mine, and that was a pretty intense experience. So 9/11 definitely had a big impact on my life and my experience. And I think that just like my generation's reaction to terrorism, I think it's much more real and much scarier to my generation than maybe later generations, because we've actually like felt it and experienced it.
All right.
Well, after 9/11, there was a lot of fear. Everybody in the United States was really scared. And so the political developments that I remember is President Bush going after weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, or supposed weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And this was a huge, it was very polarizing, because on one hand, people in the States, we all felt really insecure about our future and about being attacked. But then on the other side, it was very polarizing, because you had a lot of people who really disagreed with going in and invading Iraq. And then later on, when we found out that in fact there were no weapons of mass destruction, that was sort of like everybody, especially, if you were a Democrat, largely it was divided by party lines. So the Democrats were like, boom, drop the mic, told you so, and so it was sort of, everybody was sort of like, on the Democratic side was just sort of vindicated. But there was just that was a really big political situation in which the United States was involved. So my younger brother was deployed once to Iraq and once to Afghanistan. And he spent about 8 years in the military, and that was a really, really scary time for my family, because, right after 9/11, a lot of people volunteered for the military. A lot of people volunteered to go fight terrorism and the Taliban in Iraq and Afghanistan, and it was really scary. My brother was, as he terms it, just going from place to place, kicking down doors. And I felt really conflicted about it, because, as a historian and somebody who pays attention to what's going on in the world, I knew there was a part of me that knew that approach was not the right solution. And yet my little brother was over there, and I was very fearful for his safety. And so it was a very trying time. It was really, really difficult for my family to have him deployed twice. I would say the biggest advancement in technology that completely changed my life would just be the sheer speed at which the internet has just become a huge tool. I can't imagine not using the internet. Especially as an educator, I use the internet every day. But there was a time when, in the late 90s, where we just started having, we had the dial-up thing, and you had to wait for it, and then DSL was so slow, and it was glacial. And so I think the biggest improvement for me is just the sheer speed at which we are able to communicate with each other and exchange ideas, and just the interconnection, and just how fast ideas go. Also Facebook. Facebook was huge. Okay, that was like in college. That was like 2003, 2004. Facebook was epic. It was a very big deal. It's like, because there were some other ones that there was like Friendster and MySpace, and then see, you guys don't even know about any of those things, but yeah, Facebook was epic. So yeah, it was a big deal. My favorite sports moments. Well, in 2005, I hope I got that right, because if I didn't, my husband's gonna kill me. The Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, and then we lost, and it was the worst. So that was awful. Other sports memories. I don't really have a lot of other sports memories, but that was very traumatic. I'm glad we made that right eventually. Yeah. My favorite movies. I'm a real sci-fi nerd, and so I really liked The Fifth Element. I loved that movie for sci-fi. Also, there was all these girly movies during this time, like Bring It On was this huge, and I was on dance team, of course, when I was in high school, so we did Bring It On, and She's All That. Yeah, it's a good one. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, She's All That was really great. With Freddie Prinze Jr. Oh yeah, ladies. He was a hottie. He was totes a hottie. Yep. That's it. That's all I got. My go-to outfit throughout the decade. I wore a lot of jeans. And God, I can't even really remember what I wore. Just things that skinny people wear. I don't know. I was so tiny when I was in that decade, and just wore fashionable stuff. Midriff was really a big thing. We had a really huge issue with platform shoes, and then really bulky ones that are ugly. That was an issue. Flared jeans were a really big deal, like super flared jeans, and so flared that they're really tight on top and then flared, and they're so long you can't even see your shoes. It looks like you're just floating along the floor. Those were really popular. Let's see, what else? Trying to think of any other accessories, those weird woven headbands, that you push back and all your hair goes, and it had the tooth comb headbands, and they really hurt under here. Yeah, so, but yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.